Well, hello. I'm going to sit down and hope the camera doesn't shake again. So, me, back to doing videos, and a lot has been made about the recent Daniel Bryan stuff, and I'm going to, the whole he's being buried, he's not being used properly, people don't like the direction and where the story is going, and there's been a lot of discussion about that, and I've done a video. I know prominent YouTube makers like TruthSlayer have done videos, and LV have done videos. I even believe NYG for Life has touched on this. I believe a lot of users have. Kyle has done videos on this, and we've talked about this. I've talked to Trench out online about this on the comments page of videos, and a lot of people are talking about this direction of how Daniel Bryan is not being used properly. Now, amidst all of that, the one person that I would say, because we're kind of bordering with Daniel Bryan a bit, the only fear is, does he give Hunter and Stephanie their comeuppance? But if you want to talk about someone that hasn't been used properly, then I want to say one name, and I'm surprised enough people haven't made more of this, but in my opinion, Dolph Ziggler has not been used properly, and you could almost border saying being buried or being punished, it looks like, for something that he's done. And I think they were using him, but they used him as like a main event enhancement guy, and what I mean by that is a guy that they know that is good, but not a guy they see as the man. So what he is the guy that goes in there with someone that they believe is the man to make them look good. And I think that was the whole idea when he was in there with John Cena. I think that was the idea when he was in with CM Punk, even though those two don't really need it. They're big enough stars already. But I believe that they put him in there because this is a guy that will bump around and make them look like absolute destroyers, and he's very good at doing that. And in the time that they've been doing that with him, he's gotten over and he's gotten respect from people online about how good he is in ring, and how people look forward to his matches and they love his energy and they love his look. He has a bit of charisma. And people just appreciate someone that comes out and works hard and comes out to put on a show. Much like in MMA, when guys are coming to fight, and the guys that come to fight, whether it's on the ground or standing up, you appreciate those kind of guys. And in a sense, I'd call Dolph Ziggler the guy that just comes out to work and to perform and to give you a show. And you can tell that that's his intention when he comes out. He really does live up to his namesake. He's here to steal the show. But I want to say, since, 2011, I kind of feel that he's been in the same position in 2011 throughout 2012 to present day 2013, and a lot has happened with him, granted, but I don't feel like there has been a true elevation of Dolph Ziggler. And you go back, and he had that breakthrough match with John Cena in 2010, and I think that got a lot of people's attention. It's probably my little half-white sister messaging me right now, but I think that got a lot of attention, and he, people saw him as a guy that was really good, and they can put him in there with the Randy Ortons and the Cenas and the CM Punks and the Mark Henrys or whoever, and have a great match out of all of those guys. But, and then people were calling for him to get this big push. And then throughout 2011, he was kind of being used, but not being used enough, and people wanted to see him in a bigger role. And then, actually, no, I want to date back to the Daniel Bryan matches, but 2011, he was kind of in the middle, but there was big plans to, elevate him. Everyone was talking about what they'll do with him. He had that great match with Randy Orton. He then feuded with CM Punk in December, after December leading into the Royal Rumble, was given a title match, but it wasn't the emphasis. It wasn't Dolph Ziggler the contender versus CM Punk the champion. It was Dolph Ziggler as a contender, but the real issue is CM Punk and Johnny Ace, John Laurinaitis. And then Dolph kind of was treading water a little bit. I'm trying to remember what he did at WrestleMania now, and I can't even remember. That's really bad. I can't remember what he did. Oh, he was in Team Johnny vs Team Teddy match, and again, good for him, but he needs, a guy that you're apparently grooming for bigger things and is destined for bigger things needs to be used more. And I touched on this in a previous video, the problem with when he wins the title, and I compared it to Kazuki, I can never say his name, Okada of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Both guys were getting big pushes at the same time, but there was a big difference between the way Okada was pushed and the way Dolph was pushed. When New Japan pushed Okada, Okada really has become the man. When WWE has pushed Dolph Ziggler, he's still the same person he was. He hasn't truly been elevated. And you look at the fact that he was on a losing streak, he won Money in the Bank, he was on even more of a losing streak. Fortunes turned around when he was put in there with Cena, which I thought was a good idea, and he was given a storyline feud with Cena and AJ Lee, and he got AJ Lee as his valet, which was a nice idea, and Biggie Langston as his bodyguard, but he still came off as a mid-carder in a way with a briefcase. And then I felt he worked his arse off at the Royal Rumble this year with Chris Jericho. I've already discussed that. They then fast forward to April, and who was he in there with? Well, Swagger got the match instead of him at WrestleMania. And if I'm trying to remember what happened, I remember hoping that his contract could be cashed in at WrestleMania on Cena, because that would have been a great ending. Didn't happen. But then we had that glorious night on Monday Night Raw. Fantastic evening. Fans just took over the show, and Dolph Ziggler comes out to cash in his Money in the Bank to a reaction that was phenomenal. It was like a Steve Austin almost level pop. It was crazy. When his music hit, we knew what was happening, and it actually gave Dolph some momentum after all those losses and kind of treading water. And then unfortunately he got injured. And that took a lot of steam out of his sails. And then he, I think he would have been a great heel champion if they set up the right amount of contenders to chase him. And then what happened? He got injured. He had that great match with Del Rio where they turned the two of them over. So Del Rio was now the heel and Dolph was the face. I thought that was tremendous drama with them playing up to his head injury, and the way AJ sold it in her demeanour and the way Del Rio was. I felt that this was great. And then he just kind of got lost in the shuffle again, and now he's just back to almost where he was in 2010 as just another guy, a guy that we all respect and know is good, but he's not getting any further. And you wonder, on the one hand, is the company to blame? And I do believe so, because I believe the company just view him as this guy that's in there to make the main event guys look good. He's not viewed as a guy to make them to be the man. He's not groomed to be the top guy or one of the top guys. He's in there because Cena needs an opponent to make him look great, or Punk needs an opponent to help him shine. And it's a shame because the guy is tremendous, and I think that is part of the problem. They view him in that light, they view him in that way, and because of that it's hard for him to really have that true elevation. And I was thinking about it because someone else said to me, oh well, he's been elevated to main event status, and I said, well, he hasn't. He's in the same spot he was in. They gave him the gold belt and they didn't do it. Nothing really happened. They gave him the briefcase and nothing really happened. And now he's, again in the middle. And I do blame the way the company view him. Now, the other thing I want to say is it's Dolph's own shortcomings, because you can't just always blame the company. And I want to look at both sides of the tails here. And what do I think Dolph's shortcomings are? I think that he's a significantly better heel than he is babyface. He's so good at what he does that fans gain respect for him and they want to cheer him. But what it is with Dolph is that he's a great heel in the sense that he bumps around and flies around and makes it look like he's getting his ass kicked. And it's believable in a way, even though he takes these crazy bumps. It's believable in a way, and it works so much well as a heel than it does as a face. And as a babyface, I'm going to say this. I don't think he is flashy enough offensively as a babyface, where he's got all these big time flashy moves where you can really get into him and go, wow, he's got some cool shit. And to be honest with you, that does get overlooked as to what makes a great babyface. I think that sometimes as a babyface you can't have this mundane, straight out of OVW style of wrestling where you chin locks and arm drags and then that standard neck breaker move that everybody likes to do. When you're a babyface, you gotta have more. You gotta have some moves that help you stand out. And he's got the elbows, which is a standard move, which is kind of getting over. He's got the zigzag, which I'm not really that into, and I'd rather him use another move. He's got that other reverse power slam move that he does, and the Fame Master. But really, I would like to see him. That's his heel repertoire. I remember when Carlito was a heel and he turned babyface, there was a big difference in the way that he wrestled. And I think in a way that needs to be the case with Dolph Ziggler. I want to see some more flashier moves, or some moves that really get you into him and stuff like that. Because he can sell and he can get sympathy, we do know that. But I think offensively things need to change. The other thing is, I think promo-wise he's he's a better heel promo than he is a babyface promo. That is just my belief. I think that as a heel, he's better at being smug and arrogant and cocky, and he does have it in him to be a good interview, because if you've heard him do an interview, you'll know what I'm getting at. He's a very good interview. He's very confident and very much believes in himself, which is what you need. But as a babyface, I don't see that in him enough, and I think that's the other thing that hurts him. Based on the way the company view him and his shortcomings offensively, the fact that he's so good at bumping that he's seen as an enhancement guy, the fact that he's not the strongest babyface promo, are probably the things that have probably kept him in that mindset that the company have of him. And also the fact that he's not actually the biggest guy in the world. He has an amazing physique. He's not, juicing or anything anymore. I know he was doing stuff back in the day because he got suspended, didn't he? So we do know that. And that's not me making something up. He was. Check the facts. I think all of those things combined have contributed as to why the company just see him as, oh, he's great, he's good, we could even put the belt on him, but he is a transitional enhancer of main event talent. So that is my belief, that Dolph is the one guy out of all of this stuff with Daniel Bryan and the Daniel Bryan storyline and the Triple H regime storyline, is the one guy I think that has been hurt more than anyone else in the roster. And Daniel Bryan is being used and he's being pushed, and there's a direction there that he can go in. With Dolph, there is no direction. And I'm wondering why people haven't picked up on that enough, and why people haven't talked about it enough. Is it because people on the internet love Daniel Bryan so much, and I'm not slating people for loving him so much, or is it because of who Daniel Bryan is that people get a lot more attached and emotionally invested when they do something wrong with him, but when you see someone else who really is being used poorly, and he's not viewed in the same light enough like Daniel Bryan, it's kind of overlooked. Anyways, I'm going to stop. It's a quick little video. I better get back to my messages. Love you all. Take care. This is my channel. If you haven't been on here before, I do wrestling videos, I do MMA videos, I do comic videos, I do anything you want to talk about. If you've got requests, please let me know. We're going to be talking about some MMA because that Gustafsson fight was crazy. And I've got a lot to say about that and John Jones. And the title fight's coming up towards the end of the year. But I'm going to stop. You let me know what you think. Comment, rate, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. And I try and pump out as much content as I can. Take care and